Sandtroopers.com. Never imitating, always innovating, bringing you the latest coverage in the Star Wars galaxy.
We're here with Matthew Wood at the Steel City Con, and for those of you who don't know, Matt was the voice of General Grievous. How you doing, Matt?
Pretty good, having a good time.
Good, good. You know, it takes me back seeing you here. I remember the first convention that I met you at was Wizard World Chicago, I think back in '06, and you were signing. I remember the thing, you threw the voice of Grievous at my two young children, and I remember watching their eyes pop out of their head, and I remember when we walked away thinking, I wonder what General Grievous, do you have like a voice that like didn't quite make the cut or something that you thought about using or no?
It's funny because when we were doing, I think it was the Nemoidian voices for Phantom Menace, we went through a whole different slew of different characters, and I tried a newscaster voice, which is pretty funny. Like both my uncles are in journalism, and so they did a voice, and I'm pretty incredulous about it because like stuff like Poggle, the battle droids, and Wat Tambor and all those guys are so silly and ridiculous, but they work for animation. So, but there are voices that don't make the cut. Like we really went through a lot of different voices. We were trying to do the Nemoidians, and we ended up with this like Thai accent thing with what we used. But like at one point we tried these newscaster type voices that didn't really work out. But a lot of the characters, since they don't have mouths or they're behind a mask, we get an opportunity to change and make those voices into what we want in post-production, so we got a lot of leeway with that.
Okay, where did the coughing come from? So a lot of people say it sounds like me at about 7 o'clock in the morning, but where did that all come about from?
Well, the coughing was actually, funny enough, that is, a lot of that coughing is George Lucas.
Really?
The day we were recording that, back in '05, a lot of those lines with Grievous, you get to the point where they're really long lines, and I couldn't finish them, and I'd be like kind of coughing at the end of each line. And I remember George was just like, no, let's go ahead, we'll just keep that take and move on. And I knew, hey, I didn't really finish that line right, or there was a cough in there. But then at the end of the recording session, he had a really bad cough that day, and he went up to the microphone and coughed into it. We recorded it. And so he said, take all those takes that we've done of you, and take that last one of the cough and send them up to my Avid, my picture editing machine. And then when I got the tracks back, when I saw it final animated, he had cut the cough in there. And it actually really made it sound, I mean, it gave a nice biomechanical feel to the character. It feels like it's not totally cyborg and it has a weakness. And I like that touch that he used. But yeah, the first coughs we did in Revenge of the Sith were, some of them were shared with myself and George.
Okay, and now let's talk a little bit like about George Lucas. What's it like from going, you know, I'm sure you were a fan before you started working there all those years ago. What's it like to interact with him, work with him, you know, on the level that you do? Well,
it's funny, when I was like probably 5 or 7 years old, I saw a Marvel comic book that was a compilation that had the Star Wars story in it. There was a black and white photo on the very last page that had Alec Guinness on the set with George and Tunisia. And I remember looking at that going, I know who Alec Guinness is, that's Obi-Wan Kenobi, but who's that other guy with the beard? I didn't see him in the movie, you know. And it turned out that my mom told me, well, that's the director, that's George Lucas, and he made the movie. And I was like, it's not just the actors making the movie, someone makes the movie. Wow. Right. And so that was my first concept of what a director was that. And so coming to work in that company 10 years later, I guess, after that was a dream come true. And I just, he's a really down-to-earth guy, which is great. He's the most, you know, average, ordinary, everyday billionaire you'll ever meet.
There you go.
But he's, yeah, I love working with him. He's got such a huge vision of the Star Wars universe, and to have that, the buck sort of stops with him and Dave Filoni. You know, it's like, you know who you're answering to, and it's not a huge committee of people that everything has to be approved through a 20-step process. It's one guy, his vision, and you're working towards that. And I find that really refreshing, actually.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the Clone Wars. What's that like? How does that differ from, you know, other projects you've been on, since most of it is voice work?
Clone Wars is actually, Dave Filoni, when he came on to the Clone Wars, really reinvigorated my love for the Star Wars universe. I mean, we had just finished Revenge of the Sith, and it was like a big milestone. Everyone breathed a huge sigh of relief that we did those 3 movies and they were all done. And then Filoni came on, and he was a huge fan himself, with a nice body of work, and he came on and had a lot of enthusiasm for the universe. So I stayed on, and my buddy Dave that I work with, Dave Acord, back home, I bumped him into the sound designer's seat, and so we're just doing Clone Wars, just Dave and I, and having a great time doing it, you know. And so we love Star Wars, and the voice acting part is really fun too, to have those different roles and to actually be able to come to fan events and meet fans and have that one-on-one sort of rapport with them and get to take that energy back home to the post-production environment. So yeah, it's been great.
Okay, and now for the, I've seen a couple people bring up some really interesting pieces of General Grievous merchandise this weekend. Do you have any favorites, stuff you own, what you like the most? Action figures? I mean,
yeah, I like the, there's that one round case that's like an Unleashed case, I guess it was made. I don't know who made it, Walmart or Target or something. It was like a round, I like that one. I actually really like the little
the 7-inch Unleashed is what I think you're talking about, and bobbleheads too.
Yeah, I like the bobbleheads, are pretty funny. And then there's that blue hologram one they made this year or last year for Clone Wars. It's pretty neat.
Well, hey, that should about wrap it. We thank you for your time, Matt, and hope to see you again on the road again.
Yeah, always good to see you guys.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.